In 2024, Alexander Zverev changed and improved his serve. And it's not only the toss, he actually changed his rhythm. And he's now serving better than ever. On the ATP Tour stats, that takes a lot of factors into consideration. He's number 2 in the world behind Pericard. In yesterday's Paris Masters final, where Zverev completely demolished Hugo Humbert, take a look at the discrepancy in serve statistics between these two guys. And mind you that Humbert is number 11 in the world in serve stats. He is one of the best servers in the world. I analyze his serve on my second channel, Intuitive Tennis 24/7. I'm going to link that video in a pinned comment. If you look at the serve speeds from yesterday's Paris Masters final, it tells you that Alexander Zverev has dramatically improved his serve. On the right are Humbert's max speed and average speeds. So the fastest serve Humbert hit was 128. He averaged 115 on his first and 88 miles an hour on his second. Those are good numbers. But if you take a look on the left, the max speed on Zverev's serve was 141. He averaged 134 on his first serve, and most importantly, he averaged 109 miles an hour on his second serve. In fact, Zverev was so dominant on his serve yesterday, he didn't lose a single point when his first serve went into the court in the entire first set. And overall, he only lost 3 points on his first serve in the entire match. So he was absolutely dominant on his serve. And for this Zverev serve analysis to make more sense, we have to go all the way back when Zverev first got on tour. And I've been watching Zverev for a long time, and I always had the opinion that he could be serving better because he's a great athlete, he's a tall guy, but he doesn't hit that many aces, and he also struggled in the past with confidence, especially on his second serve. I always compared him to another player with similar physical capabilities, Juan Martín del Potro, who also early on in his career didn't maximize his serve potential. Now, if you guys remember the 2020 US Open final between Zverev and Dominic Thiem, Zverev not only decelerated a lot on his second serve, but he also committed a lot of double faults. Now, in an interview, Zverev said that he did a tremendous amount of work on his serve, and through these repetitions, he was able to build trust in his serve. And those second serve problems that he had in 2020, they didn't show up. Again, Zverev had improved his second serve tremendously. However, there is a big change between the 2024 Zverev serve and all the other Zverev serves prior to that point. Around the clay court season, I started noticing that Zverev's serve started looking different. It started looking a lot more explosive, and most importantly, it was a lot faster on average. And some people had noticed that Zverev had lowered his toss. Now, if you watch some of my other serve videos, you know that the height of the toss is related to the rhythm. So for example, on the WTA Tour, you rarely, if ever, will see a player that has a fast rhythm. Ons Jabeur is one player that has a fast rhythm, but the vast majority of players on the WTA Tour, including some of the best WTA servers of all time, have a slower building rhythm, usually with a full lag and a pinpoint stance, and they also usually have a toss that's higher. Now, Zverev's old serve also had a slow building rhythm, and it was a fundamentally sound serve. So Zverev would toss the ball first, the racket would lag behind, and then as that racket started going up towards the trophy face, he would start pulling that back foot up to the front foot. Zverev has a quirk in his back foot where the back foot is first pointing backwards, and as that racket gets close to the drop, that back foot starts evening out and the knees are parallel to each other. But Zverev has an incredibly aggressive loading position. So not only does he bend backwards, reminiscent to Pete Sampras, where his chest is pointing up to the sky, he also bends forwards and gets his left hip into the court. Now, of course, Zverev has all the fundamentals when it comes to hitting the 3 serves, the slice, the flat, and the kick. He has a perfect contact, and he also has a perfect finish. But this slow building rhythm that Zverev had made his serve good. He was able to serve 140 even back then, and he would generally kick the second serve and hit it a lot slower. And don't get me wrong, to be able to serve 140 and have the ball go into the box consistently, you're going to have a phenomenal serve that is explosive. So even Zverev's old serve was explosive, but it was a slow building rhythm where the serve became explosive in the trophy phase. However, now, as some people have observed, Zverev's toss has dropped a tad. It's not as high as it used to be. But as I've told you in many videos, including the Pericard video from last week, when you have a low toss, you also have to have a faster rhythm. So Zverev did not change his rhythm to where he is taking the racket up faster like Pericard. He's actually doing something that's quite interesting. He waits longer in the lag position. So what Zverev used to do on his serve is take the racket up from the lag and then simultaneously pull the back foot up to the front foot. Now, Zverev doesn't do that anymore. He will wait in the lag position longer. He will pull the back foot up to the front foot first. He will then pull the racket up, and he will do something that I call an early unload. See, what you see often at the WTA Tour is a late unload. So players will go into the racket drop area and then unload their body. What you most commonly see on the ATP Tour is a perfect timing where players are in their trophy phase or trophy position. And as the racket begins to drop, players start to unload. This is what you will see among the best servers in the history of tennis. However, I have observed something new in recent years. Players will start to unload their body prior to the racket reaching the trophy position. So as the racket is going up from the lag, players will begin to unload. And then once the racket is in the trophy phase, players are already in their unloading phase of the serve. Now, earlier this year, I made a video about Jannik Sinner's serve, and he does the exact same thing. So Jannik Sinner will lag his serve similarly to Zverev, and he will not pull the back foot up while the racket is going towards the trophy phase. He will wait with the racket lagging behind, pull the back foot up to the front foot first. Once the feet are together, he will then start bringing the racket up to the trophy phase. And prior to the racket going into the trophy position, Sinner will begin to unload. So Zverev, just like Sinner, has an early unloading on his serve now that he didn't have before. And that's due to the fact that he waits longer in the lag position. So what has this done to Zverev's serve? It has made it more explosive. Because Zverev waits longer in the lag position and begins to unload sooner, this part of the serve has become a lot more explosive and a lot faster. Now that Zverev has a more explosive, a faster rhythm, an earlier unloading, he had to reduce his toss. So this new serve won't work with the old toss. So that toss has gone down a little bit. Now Zverev still has a high toss. Why? Because Zverev still serves with a full lag, just like Sinner, where the racket is paused on the bottom. See, Zverev was interviewed this week, and he said he is very motivated by the fact that Sinner and Alcaraz are both improving and getting better. And he knows that he has to get better if he wants to have any chance to beat these guys at the most important stages of Grand Slam tournaments. And something that I love to see is players practicing right after a match. Why do I like that? Because when you practice right after a match, the match is fresh in your memory and you can work on some of the things that you did wrong in a match. So even after winning a Masters 1000, you know what Zverev did? He went right back on the practice court. You can see this picture, the trophy is right there, and Zverev is working on his game. So Zverev has not only improved his serve, but has improved his forehand, has improved his volleys, and he's given himself a good chance to get that elusive Grand Slam title. So what can we learn from Zverev's serve improvement? Well, first of all, repetitions are the only way to cure your serve problem. So you gotta put in the work, just like Zverev did. He was able to fix his second serve by hitting a tremendous amount of reps. But also, you see that sometimes experimentation can surprise you. So I encourage everyone to experiment with their serve, because there are many different styles on the serve, and there's no right or wrong when it comes to style. And you can experiment. Give you a very easy example. Try platform stance or a pinpoint stance and see which one works best for you. And that very much involves the rhythm as well. However, when it comes to the fundamentals of the serve, I want you to check out Intuitive Tennis Premium, where I have a whole collection of videos where I show you the most common serve mistakes at the recreational level. I'm going to put a link in my description. Now, I want to finish this video off with something that Zverev can still improve on his serve. And this stems from him being a spot server from day one. He's not really a Pericard type server or an Ivanisevic or Sampras type server where he's looking to end the point with the serve. Zverev is a baseline player by nature. So despite the fact that Zverev is #2 in the world in serve statistics, he doesn't hit that many aces. So he has an incredibly high percentage on his serve. It's over 70%. However, in this tournament in Paris, the percentage dropped a little bit. I think this is a positive sign for Zverev. In my opinion, now that the second serve has stabilized, there's no need for Zverev to serve in the mid-70s. He can serve in the mid-60s, go for more aces, because I think that can help him tremendously when it comes to those Grand Slam semifinals, Grand Slam finals. In those crucial moments, he's going to get a big benefit in hitting closer to the lines. But not only that, this very much might be a necessary thing against great returners like Djokovic, Sinner, and Alcaraz.